Welcome to the greatest linguistic comedy show on earth, Singlish versus Japlish. Yes, Singapore and Japan both tried to localize English, and what came out was, let's say, Michelin star comedy. But here's the twist. One of them became an international badge of identity, Singlish, la. The other, a tragic karaoke version called Japlish, reserved for overpriced TOEIC classes and awkward airport announcements. And before you click away, listen, this isn't just about English. It's about how nations reinvent themselves or embarrass themselves through language. Singapore turned broken English into cultural power. Japan turned it into a billion-dollar scam industry. Stick around, because by the end you'll know exactly why la is respected, but salaryman English is the world's biggest running joke. So let's start at the beginning. How did we even end up with these two monsters, Singlish and Japlish? Singapore, a tiny island with 4 languages wrestling in the same kopitiam, decided, yeah, too complicated, just mash everything together la. And voila, Singlish was born. Brutal efficiency, zero shame. It's like linguistic fried rice. Throw in Chinese, Malay, Tamil, and some leftover Queen's English, fry it with chili, and bam, you've got a national identity. Singaporeans don't apologize for Singlish. They weaponize it. You want to sound local? Better learn to say can la before you even buy your first kaya toast. Now Japan? Oh no. Japan imported English the way they import foreign food. Strip out the taste, wrap it in plastic, and charge double. They didn't mix English with Japanese. No. They made a karaoke version. Salaryman, office lady, skinship, my pace. Japlish is like buying a Louis Vuitton bag from Don Quixote. It looks international until you realize it's fake, cheap, and embarrassing in public. And here's the real comedy. Singaporeans know Singlish is funny. They laugh with you. Japlish? The Japanese think it's real English. They proudly announce at Narita Airport, "Please do not running insido the terminaru." And the whole world is thinking, what did I just hear? Is this an anime dub gone wrong? The difference is cultural confidence. Singapore took broken English and said, we own it. Japan took broken English and said, we teach it in schools for 12 years, then charge you for TOEIC prep. And after all that, the average Japanese still can't order a cheeseburger without panicking. Singlish is a comedy club you're invited to join. Japlish is a scam seminar where you pay, fail, and clap anyway. Japan. The country that brags about studying English for 12 years. Impressive, right? 12 years. That's a PhD in some countries. But wait, after 12 years, what do the Japanese actually learn? A grand total of 2,000 vocabulary words. That's right, 2,000. The average 6-year-old in the United States already knows more words than a Japanese college graduate who's been drilled with English since kindergarten. Think about it. 12 years of taxpayer-funded classroom torture, and what's the result? Japanese adults who can mumble, "This is a pen," like it's a Shakespearean soliloquy. If you put them in front of a foreigner, they melt like ice cream on a hot Tokyo summer day. 12 years. And they can't survive a Starbucks order without pointing at the menu like a caveman discovering fire. And here's the real kicker. It's not an accident. The Japanese education system designed it this way. They don't want fluent speakers. They want grammar zombies, memorizing passive voice for exams, circling multiple choice answers, and chanting "he go to school yesterday" until the soul leaves their body. It's a multi-billion-dollar English education racket. Schools, cram schools, TOEIC prep, textbooks, private tutors. It's one giant conveyor belt of mediocrity. Meanwhile, Singaporean kids are tossing English, Chinese, and Malay back and forth before lunch. They're multilingual gladiators. A Singaporean can insult you in 3 languages before your train arrives. A Japanese? They're still flipping through their dusty vocabulary list, trying to remember if hamburger is katakana or English. The Japanese proudly claim, "We study English for 12 years." Yeah, and I could sit in a gym for 12 years watching other people lift weights. Doesn't mean I can bench press a paperclip. 12 years, 2,000 words. That's not education. That's daylight robbery with chalk dust. Here's the ugly truth. In Japan, learning stops the moment school ends. Graduation isn't a new beginning, it's a funeral for the brain. Students toss their uniforms, burn their textbooks, and immediately delete English from their memory like it was malware. 12 years wasted, and the second they walk out, they never open a dictionary again. That's the Japanese secret weapon, strategic amnesia. Adults proudly say, Eigo muzukashi, too difficult, as if too difficult means too beneath me. Meanwhile, their Singaporean counterparts are still sharpening their English, bending it, mixing it, upgrading it, until even the British start asking, wait, did we invent English, or did Singapore do it better? Japanese adults, on the other hand, turn English into an eternal excuse. They stop studying, then blame everyone else. We don't need English because foreigners should learn Japanese. Yes, the same logic as refusing to buy an umbrella because the rain should respect you. Brilliant. And what about professional life? In Singapore, you can walk into any hawker stall and hear workers switching between Singlish, Mandarin, and Tamil faster than Tokyo trains can delay. In Japan, office workers spend hours rehearsing how to say, nice to meet you, before a business trip to Los Angeles, and still botch it. The irony? Japan spends billions importing English teachers, textbooks, and conversation cafes. Yet, after work, the average Japanese adult prefers karaoke with mangled lyrics over a 10-minute chat with a foreigner. They'd rather scream Bon Jovi and Japlish than risk a real conversation in English. Singaporean English grew up, adapted, became global. Japlish. It died at graduation. From that point on, it's just fossil fuel for TOEIC prep schools. Japan's English education isn't a system, it's a hamster wheel. Run hard in school, quit at 22, then never learn again. And the Japanese wonder why the world laughs when they say, let's enjoy. Now let's talk about the Japanese internet warriors, the proud ego speakers of YouTube comment sections. You know them. The ones who show up under every video with their 2,000-word arsenal, typing things like, your video is very enjoy, or I am exciting for study English. It's tragic and hilarious at the same time. 12 years of study, and the best they can do is butcher grammar worse than a samurai cutting sushi. But here's the comedy gold. They not only fail in English, they also fail in Japanese. I've seen Japanese commenters leave messages in their own language, and even that's riddled with mistakes. Kanji swapped, particles missing, hiragana floating around like lost socks in a washing machine. Imagine being so bad at English you break your native language in the process. Meanwhile, Singaporeans are online flexing their Singlish proudly. Wow, this video shock la! And the whole world laughs with them, not at them. Singlish is charming. Japlish is tragic cosplay. Nobody says, wow, so unique la about Japlish. They just squint at the screen, wondering if it's a bad Google Translate experiment. And the arrogance. A Japanese commenter will write, we Japanese are very diligent. We study English 12 years. Then you check the comment and it's written like a ransom note from a drunk toddler. The irony writes itself. They think diligence equals results. Wrong. Diligence without competence is just 12 years of national comedy theatre. At this point, the Japanese internet presence in English isn't communication, it's performance art. Every comment is proof that 12 years of forced study creates nothing but broken sentences and shattered pride. Singaporeans troll with flair. Japanese try to impress and end up being memes. And yet, they clap for themselves. Sugoi! I wrote Englishu on YouTube. Congratulations, you've downgraded both languages in one click. Here's where the comedy gets darker. In Japan, English isn't even taught as a tool for communication. For women especially, it's just part of the 2-year bridal curriculum. Go to junior college, memorize 2,000 words, get a clerical job as an office lady, answer phones with your rehearsed, hello, this is XYZ company, and then, surprise, you quit by age 25 to get married. Congratulations, your 12 years of English training prepared you to say, may I help you, before becoming a full-time housewife. Compare that to Singaporean women, who are out there debating politics in English, running businesses in English, even roasting ministers in Singlish with more wit than any Japanese English conversation school graduate could dream of. In Singapore, multilingual women dominate meetings. In Japan, they're praised for being able to copy-paste email templates. That's not English. That's clerical cosplay. The system is designed to keep it that way. Universities? Too intimidating for women. Advanced English? Too dangerous. It might give women independence. So instead, Japan feeds them practical English that's nothing more than polite phrases for serving men tea in the office. English education for women in Japan isn't empowerment. It's an etiquette class disguised as grammar drills. And the real tragedy? Many of these women believe it. They go to Aikaiwa schools after work, repeating phrases like, "This is a pen," or "How are you?" thinking this is international communication. Meanwhile, Singaporean women are negotiating contracts with Australians, Malaysians, and Americans, flipping languages mid-sentence without breaking a sweat. Japan's English path for women is basically this: study hard, memorize phrases, become an office lady, marry a salaryman, and never speak English again. That's not education, that's domestication. So while Singaporean women weaponize English as a ladder to global power, Japanese women are stuck polishing their telephone English until the day they quit. If language is freedom, then in Japan, English is just another leash. By 2025, Japan has mastered one thing better than anyone else: excuses. And their favorite? We don't need English. English is only used in America and Britain. That's right. In their heads, the entire world shrinks down to BBC accents and Hollywood blockbusters. The Japanese honestly believe if you're not traveling to London or Los Angeles, English is useless. Brilliant strategy. Just ignore the other 1.5 billion English speakers around the world. But wait, it gets better. More than 90% of Japanese make another legendary mistake. They think each country has its own national language. Singapore? Oh, they speak Singapore language. Australia? Of course they speak Australian language. No, not Singlish, not Aussie English, an entirely mythical Singaporean and Australian tongue that exists only in Japanese imaginations. By this logic, Canada must speak Canadian, India speaks Indian, and New Zealand speaks Kiwi. This isn't ignorance. This is willful delusion, carefully nurtured by a society terrified of admitting it wasted 12 years on "this is a pen." Because if they admitted English is the international language, they'd have to face the fact they can't use it. So they invent imaginary languages instead, and suddenly their failure feels like cultural pride. Meanwhile, Singaporean kids are out there code switching like Olympic athletes. Can la in one breath, of course mate in the next, and yes sir for the business meeting. Australians bend English into slang and still get global respect. The Japanese, they stand at Narita Airport thinking, "Ah yes, soon I will meet the Australian language." Japan doesn't just lose in English, they lose in basic geography of language. It's like failing a race before you even put your shoes on. At this point, Japlish isn't just comedy, it's national denial wrapped in katakana. So after all this, what's the verdict? It's simple. Singlish is cultural power, Japlish is cultural scam. Singapore took colonial English, broke it, fried it with chili, and turned it into an identity that scares even the British. When Singaporeans say la, it's not bad English. It's a flag, a declaration of survival. A nation so small, yet their broken English became global swagger. Even ministers dropped Singlish in Parliament just to flex. That's confidence. That's ownership. Japan? 12 years, 2,000 words, billions wasted, and the result is Japlish, the world's saddest karaoke track. A language that even its own speakers don't believe in, but still pay billions of yen every year for TOEIC prep, Aikaiwa schools, and English conversation cafes, where the only conversation is "nice to meet you." Japlish isn't identity, it's insecurity with a price tag, and let's not forget the excuses. English is only for America and Britain. Wrong. The world is running on English, from Indian call centres to Singapore hawker stalls to Australian trade deals. Meanwhile, Japan is stuck inventing fake national languages to cover up their own failure. Singapore thrives in globalization. Japan hides in katakana. Here's the irony. Japan thinks it's the world's most diligent nation, burning 12 years in classrooms. But the result? Nothing but "let's enjoy" on cheap t-shirts. Singapore embraces laziness, humour, and shortcuts, and ends up multilingual champions. So, Singlish versus Japlish? There's no contest. One became a badge of pride. The other became a billion-dollar scam industry, producing adults terrified of Starbucks orders. Singapore turned broken English into culture. Japan turned it into comedy. And that, La, is the final verdict.